Welcome to Reality After Show. We're talking Survivor, Australia v. the World. Our first exit interview. Oh my God, why is this happening? King George Mladenov. King George, you are, it's no secret to those that listen, you are my best friend on the entire planet, and I am one of your best friends.
Yeah, thank you, Johnny. It's good to be on, and I'm delighted that you're doing exit coverage for Australia v. the World.
You still see no problem with that statement, which hurts my heart.
You're in the core group of like 4, but best American friend for sure.
Oh, thank you. We got Bobby Goodsby, producer here on the Reality Up Show Network. We got questions. Australia v. the World may have been the best 3 episodes of television Survivor that we've ever seen, but you went out episode 3.
Yeah, it was a pretty good sweep. I think that's what makes Australian Survivor so good. It's the storytelling, and it's the way that Australian Survivor tells the story, which is why it's so good that we're having this season, because I think it really is going to expand the audience of Australian Survivor to even more people in North America. And then I've ridden that wave of Australian Survivor going global. You've kind of experienced it yourself, Johnny, where the first wave was season 6, Brains v. Brawn, and then the second wave really was after that episode 7, Tribal Council. And what I think the international fans like about Australian Survivor is the new era of Australian Survivor. It's from season 6 onwards, where the cultural shift in terms of gameplay happened. But because, like, realistically, the seasons 1 to 5 of Australian Survivor, it was about, like, it was an Australian show made for an Australian audience. But I think that's changed now. Now, Australian Survivor has gone beyond the really kind of like small, super duper fans in North America and Europe that used to watch it in the first 5 seasons. It now has a real kind of legitimate audience, to the extent where you get the likes of Parvati, Suri, and Tony willing to play Australian Survivor.
Yeah, you did. You mentioned this, and a lot of people have mentioned this, and it's been a huge talking point on your Exodus. You did make Australian Survivor global. So I people can love you, people can hate you, people can feel how they want about the polarizing character that King George is. But make no mistake, episode 7, Heroes, Villains, makes Australian Survivor global. I mean, you got that was the New York Times, like that episode kind of transcended what was this little niche, cute little thing over here that the ones who knew, to where it's a talking point, to where it's like, I have to seek this out. I have to see this. There's people that have never even seen an entire episode of Australian Survivor that know about this moment in time.
Which is great. And then, given that you are one of my best friends, Johnny, you kind of had a similar trajectory yourself. When you think of the kind of like the most iconic moments, particularly of US Survivor, everybody kind of recalls the dead grandma lie. You could walk around the streets here of Sydney, and then you talk about like when US Survivor used to air on primetime TV here in Australia on free-to-air TV like it used to. Everyone will remember the dead grandma lie. And it's those kind of moments that kind of like last on and linger on forever. And I'm incredibly proud to have played a role, a critical role from the player perspective, to make Australian Survivor. It is what it is now. But it's also a credit to like the whole production team, because they're the ones that are able to tell a very compelling story that's not just made for an Australian audience now, but it's made for a North American audience and a European audience. And anyone who watches Australian Survivor loves it.
Yeah, George, yeah. I want to... Sorry, go ahead, Johnny. What were you going to say?
Well, real quick, we're talking the first 3 episodes. Bobby, stand-up comedian Wayne Memmott and Gabe Ortiz from Survivor 47. We just went back last night, and we're starting a rewatch of Brains v. Brawn 1. And we decided during that podcast, that we're going to cover it in blocks of 3 moving forward, because Australian Survivor is so good at that 3-episode storytelling device. And case in point, Australia v. the World, episodes 1 through 3.
No, of course. And then if you look at it, I think everything always has kind of like a purpose and a meaning in the way that Australian Survivor tells the story. And the story is actually the game. That's what makes Australian Survivor so good. There are always kind of like external factors at play and whatnot. But when Australian Survivor tells a story, it relates to what's happening now. Like there's a little tidbit about what's going to happen in the short-term future. And there's even an even bigger tidbit to like long-term storytelling. And if you look at that kind of like long-term storytelling example, it'd be the kind of like Simon's hate boner for me in Heroes v Villains, where it was like a 17-story arc up until it came to a conclusion. It just kept building and building and building. And like right now, that kind of storytelling is the difference between, the mothership US Survivor, which has gone down a route, which isn't a bad route, but it is a route, and where Australian Survivor is. And if I think, helping Australian Survivor go global and viral, then help birth this season, because I remember when I was doing my book tour and I was doing media on it, people would go, what do you think the next season should be? And as a drag race fan, I'd sarcastically go, Australia v. the World, because that's something that I would want to play again. It's something that would make me want to dust off the boots. And, what happened?
Yeah. So George, I want to ask you, I want to jump right into it. We see on the very first episode, it looked like no one on the beach wanted to play with you, that everyone had it in their mindset that you were someone that they weren't going to let go far into the game, and that you weren't going to have any alliances in this game. Did you feel that way on the beach? Did you feel like it was near impossible to work with anyone, or what was your mindset when you were on the beach?
Well, it wasn't about a feeling. It was just about being realistic about the situation on the ground. When I see the final makeup of my tribe, when we're getting on the truck in that period where we do all those epic kind of like movie sequences and whatnot, and then David is kind of like confirmed that he is playing. It's like beyond a catastrophe for me, because David's walking into this tribe with 3 of his lifelong friends that he's known for 10 to 15 years. Various different people. I know Jonny would be sitting down talking about her revenge mission on me. And then I've got Kirby there, who has a connection to Luke, having worked together. But a Kirby-style player always wants to course correct what went wrong the first time. And for Kirby, it was she worked with an alpha male, and the alpha male beat her when she thought she should have won. So I had problems in every single angle. And from a maths perspective, my problem was the David block of 4 or 3 in terms of how you wanted to look at it. So I was always a Jonny away from being voted off instantly. So I had the most narrow path to get out of jail without an idol in that first tribal council that I would inevitably go to. And it needed Kirby being interested in working with me, making peace with Jonny so she could find the moment to get her revenge on me, not David, and hoping that I can peel away one of David's friends. And the most realistic prospect of that would always be Sarah, because she had waited so long to play and didn't want to get caught in kind of people's shadows. So it was basically mission impossible, ultra defensive the whole time. And I was probably less than 5% chance to get out of jail in that first tribal council that I went to. And I pulled it off because I do what I do best, which is read the room, understand what people are moving for and campaigning for, and then shake it up if it resolves in my demise. And I did explore the David option because that was also something that was very safe for him to progress. But having slept next to David, it became very clear to me when he was just normal David talking at night, and then, the Golden God character that would want to prove that he's so much better than me by getting rid of me first. So I explored all options. And then like when we have that final scramble, which was a very long one, it was very clear to me that Sarah was back into the David fold, and that was bad. And Kirby is a very good kind of like unifying factor for myself and Jonny and even Sarah if she wants to differentiate her game. But the conversation that when I pulled Kirby out to go have a walk down the path, that was very close to the point that we were about to walk to tribal council, because I'm telling myself I'm gone. I don't have an idol, which means if I don't have it, someone else probably has it without knowing for sure, but it's definitely not with me. So I have to regain control of the situation. And at that point, Kirby thought the votes were on David. The only votes going on David were myself and Kirby. And then when David very thankfully came to follow us through, I had the opportunity to put the fear of God in his eyes. I needed David to come up with a solution to save himself if he was absolutely sure that he was about to go home. And that would mean working with me rather than putting votes on me. And then what happens at the tribal council happens.
Yeah. So for the Twitterverse of it all, the vocal minority fandom, and even the Bobby of it all, a lot of people are saying episode 3, you can sit back, do nothing, and stay in the game. And I'm just like, I don't see that working.
No, it's just not how it works with me, because with the fact that I was always a Jonny away from going out, I was acutely aware of that, like after the David Tribal Council. So after the David Tribal Council, I'm telling myself the default starting position, which is actually the case, is I have 3 votes on me. So if I sit back and do nothing and then focus on just retaining Kirby and Sarah, I go into a tribal council in a 3-3, and I can guarantee you Kirby and Sarah are not going to rocks to save me. So I need to either find an idol to save myself, which I wasn't able to do because Luke already had it, or shake votes off me. So when we lose that immunity challenge, it's very unfortunate that Tony held on for so long. And there's a lot you didn't see in that immunity challenge, including me saving.
George. I think we lost George for a second.
Sarah felt like the world were very close. Where do you think we lost me? I'll just pick up there.
Right here.
So
right here.
George is dead again.
But he challenge.
He's back.
Am I back?
We're back.
Yeah,
you're back. We're gonna know
so when I lose that immunity challenge, I'm racking my brain, going, how am I going to shake the votes off? But it's not just. It's not just going on the attack to hope Luke and Janine blink, which ironically I was very successful at doing it through Janine. It's trying to unify at the same time. It's trying to make it clear to Sarah that I am an asset at Merge at building winning combinations, which she was aware of. The issue I had was Kirby. Kirby wasn't interested in not course correcting. Kirby is someone that pulls a trigger but doesn't think of the consequences. So she was vehement on pulling the trigger on me. And then Jonny doesn't need an excuse to vote me out. If Jonny saw the opportunity to vote me out, she would close that story arc. And then from my perspective as well, if I get voted out, to close the story arc, I would prefer it to be at the hands of Jonny than to have been at the hands of David. And then knowing Jonny as well as I do, and we got along like a house on fire in camp, I knew that was important to her as well. So that's why in that first vote, I was like, I think Jonny would just prefer David going home, because she's also played with David and she knows that, particularly when I told her about the split vote plan, she would have known that if I went first, David would just get rid of her next, particularly with all the friends, and she was dead on arrival as well. So I tried to unify to the best of my ability and to provide some kind of stability and whatnot. I was one conversation short of Sarah of saving myself at the expense of Jonny. That's all it was at the end of the day. Sarah didn't make her intention clear to me. She did to Kirby, but Kirby was the assertive one there, and then put her foot down, and then I went home.
So I would be remiss if I did not address this comment. Jenny K says, "I don't think God likes Janine. Can you confirm or deny this?"
Well, I didn't have the luxury that Janine had of coming in with a pre-built alliance and coasting along. To be quite honest with you, but I did have a lot of fun of pushing Janine's buttons. I don't feel like Janine was very interesting in camp. Like she really would not talk to anyone. She would walk up to you, ask you who you're voting for. You'd try to talk to her, and then she wouldn't even tell you what she's doing. And it's like, well, we don't need to guess. We know you're just voting with your friends, Janine. You're not reinventing some gameplay or the wheel here. Yeah. But I don't think Janine gets pressured like that in her life. I feel like in her life, she's the one that just sets the direction, and then people just do it just because of she owns every business, and she's the boss.
Does God prefer Janine or Paige?
Well, who knows? Who knows? I would have preferred working with Paige. Paige wasn't that bad in camp, to be honest with you, Jonny.
I mean, I heard God
no idea what Survivor was, but at least you could talk to Paige about random things. Like Janine did not do much talking at all.
George, based on the little information I've gotten from here and there, Janine is very Yao Man like gameplay wise. Yao Man does not talk to anyone. He goes, I'm here for work, and I'm just
I don't think it was that with Janine.
We're not even talking about my favorite color.
I think Janine's very comfortable. I think Janine's very comfortable knowing that there's no reason to vote her off.
And then, George, I would be – oh, sorry. Go ahead. I was just going to say I would be remiss and not ask, when you did have that conversation with David and Kirby right there, and you basically threw Kirby under the bus when he asked who's been talking about me, and you're like, well, she's standing right here. What was your thought process in that moment? Because did you think, okay, this is – I'm
regaining control of the situation.
Okay.
So
did you think it was going to work?
Well, it did work, because if I don't do that, I go home. It's as simple as that. I needed two things to happen, and they did. Kirby to regain control, and David to see the fear of God in his eyes. David saw the fear of God in his eyes. I don't know he has that final whisper with bloody Janine, who told him just to not vote for Jonny at that tribal council, but to shake votes off myself, I need David's pre-game block of 3 to just not vote for me. And it was going to happen, but for Janine, who panics at the last moment under pressure. So it worked on that angle, and it also worked on the other angle where Kirby regained control. The one thing that was very clear with Kirby, and the issue that we had, was we had 4 competing priorities. So Kirby was only interested in ever voting off David. That she had no alternate, no compromise. Jonny wanted me gone, but she also wanted to own my move. So if David votes me off, then she doesn't get her revenge.
That's the Golden Gods move.
Correct. It's the Golden Gods move. So that was important to Jonny. And the most important thing for Sarah was she did not want David to go home first. So Sarah was okay with Janine. I know she didn't want to vote for Luke, but his name was never an option and it never came up. Mm-hmm. And Sarah was also okay with me going home first. But when the Janine plan never had any legs, even right before we walked to tribal council as a complete fail-safe, that means Sarah's acceptable compromise, which is what Sarah and I spoke about for 5 days, acceptable compromise. And ironically, she said that in a vote off to me. Sarah's acceptable compromise was me. That means she veers toward her lifelong friends, Luke and David, but Sarah never had a connection with Janine. So I thought Sarah was gone, which is why I needed Kirby to regain control of the situation, because it was clear that we had broken off in pairs, myself and Jonny, Sarah and Kirby, and then the other pre-game 3 were there. So that was basically the makeup of the tribe, and then Kirby reasserted control at tribal council. If Kirby doesn't reassert control there, then that's her game torched. Like, that's how Kirby looked at it in her eyes. Wow. If her number one on the tribe was Sarah, you know, if I go home there, what happens there in Kirby's mind? She has no number one. Like, Sarah listens to her friends rather than her.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's enough of them versus you being the, hey, well, think about your options.
Well, like, the thing is this, it's like, I don't have the luxury of lying down and doing nothing on the makeup of that tribe. I just don't. If I lie down and do nothing, David's plan that would probably happen 2 months before we went out to Samoa, and then rebirth to life when he agreed to come on, is for me to go home. So it's like I have to work in an ultra defensive mission to not go home. And unlike what people always think, I have found one idol per season in my first 2 seasons and none this time. I don't have the luxury to prove it. Yeah, and I've got the tattoos to prove it. So I don't have the luxury of, you know, just doing nothing and hoping I can skate by when I'm always priority target 1 for someone like David, who didn't want me on the tribe for the reasons that are obvious. And then I'm acceptable compromise to everyone else, but priority target number 1 to Jonny.
Now, I know you got to get out of here soon. Can I just ask one more question? So if in that situation where you know those 3 are clearly working together, and Luke and Janine and the Golden God, when you asked Luke who he's voting for and he said Janine, what made you throw your vote on Janine to fully go that direction? Like, did you do it as a throwaway vote? Like, what was your thought? I know they thought that they had Sarah.
It was to not get involved in it. So if David votes for Jonny with Luke and Janine, and then I become the swing vote at that point in time. But in the very long walk we had to tribal council as well, I had to factor in the 3 problems I had to solve. So the first one, I tried to regain control of the situation. So that was box ticked. The Janine plan was never going to happen because I knew Luke was never going to break away from Janine, but I threw her name out there. But I was going to push that at tribal council again. But me and David had that look and we had the chat about Jonny first. So at that point in time, I tell myself, if David has an idol or Luke or Janine have it and they play it on David, I'm toast either way. So I'm not going to go down the boring route of being a 4th vote on David and then I just get idled out in a 3-0. I'm going to set up one of 2 situations. So the preferred one would have just been the swing vote on Jonny, because my plan for David was to make him beg, make him bend his knee and kiss my feet. And if he did that, I may have considered saving him, but I probably still would have voted him out. And it would have been hilarious, Jonny.
That's the move, of course.
Yeah. But in the alternate, where if the votes still come on me, which is what I knew for sure when Luke told me Janine, I have to stay on Janine, because if I vote for Jonny there, she picks up on it and she changes her vote on a revote. Yeah. So what I did by leaving it on Janine is either empower myself as the actual casting vote between David and Jonny, and in the alternate, if I'm going to go home, it's going to be at the hands of Jonny at a revote, and she's stuck with me.
Makes sense. Gotcha.
It's just a storytelling device, and I love it. So one last thing. Who's to say what the future holds for King George? However, if this is indeed the last time you've ever played an Australian version of Survivor, are you glad that JLP put your torch out?
Oh, most definitely. JLP is fantastic. I've got a lot of time for JLP. I think the best host in the business, to be honest with you. So if Jonathan snuffed my torch in his big bang exit in what is shaping up to be one of the best seasons in the world ever. Lucky for me.
Fair enough. But is the option still there for the Golden God to put out your torch in the future, or to watch you, or to be there as your torch is never put out?
Well, who knows? Who knows, Johnny? But I hope Australia v. the World stays as a format. I think there's a lot of excitement behind it. I think the ratings haven't been this high for Australian Survivor on 10 in a very, very, very long time. And I think it just shows when you bring out the A tier and the A team of past players, which is what we had on both tribes, apart from maybe one, it's loved by the fans. And there were so many options to pick, particularly on the World Tribe, like yourself included, Johnny, to be fair. So there'll never be like a lack of appeal for this. And then if people are like, oh, you've got too many time returning players and whatnot, just bring out the A team again and again and again in different kind of like iterations and whatnot. So it can be like the challenge where how many times has Johnny Bananas played the challenge? You have versions of American reality TV that have such sustainability because they bring out the A team. Because I don't think
23 is the answer, George.
There you go. But it's just like I believe there's a future in Australia v. the world. I like the condensed format. I think when you've played 99 days plus of Survivor, didn't quite hit the 100 mark. Not that it was that material to me. You're not really excited at the thought of 47 days in the rain in Samoa and never getting dry and, your feet turning to skin peels and whatnot. And the format helps. And I hope there's legs in it. What I also hope is it kind of births the format worldwide. I don't know if Jeff Probst will ever pull the trigger and do USA v. the world or USA v. Australia. I hope he does. I hope he sees just how positively this season's being received, particularly in North America. But that would be fun to see. If not, there are something like 20 or 30 other Survivor markets around the world. No other English-speaking markets, which is disappointing since we lost UK Survivor and South African Survivor and New Zealand Survivor, to be fair to them. But there are so many other markets in the world. So if we get Sweden v. the world or France v. the world, where Survivors had double-digit number of seasons for a long time, or Finland v. the world, that's something that would be kind of like interesting to see, where you kind of keep mixing it up and whatnot.
If I'm USA and I'm looking at summer programming, I'm looking at USA versus the world, JLP host.
Yeah, why not? I think the appetite's there, and then I hope it comes on Paramount Plus again. I know there's been a few roadblocks that are quite unfortunate in the North American market.
You talk about the highest numbers on Australian Survivor right now. Just think about those numbers that are unaccounted for. I mean, literally, the entire North America is not being counted in your numbers.
Yeah, but let's be realistic here as well. Like when we say the world, we really mean the USA. And a country like Australia always turns to like American pop culture and whatnot. So look, I hope it happens. I hope Jeff Probst sees just how successful this season is. What's made it successful? He brought out S-tier American players. So many more American players were willing to play and desperate to play, and couldn't play because they couldn't have more than 3 American players and whatnot. And there are so many other random jurisdictions around the world in Survivor where they have top tier players that make it so compelling and so interesting. I hope he considers it, because I don't think US Survivor can get another 10 years of what it had before it starts getting a bit stale. And I hope 50 is interesting. But it needs a bit of variety.
Probst has guaranteed a new era will win season 50.
Well, we'll see, Johnny.
Well, when it's half new era, what are the chances?
You know what? I don't like them. I think this experiment will be officially stamped a dud. So minus season 47. Love you, Gabe.
No, look, the thing with the new era is I just feel like they all merge into one. I think that's the problem with it now. aside from the fact the same twists get repeated over and over again, I struggle to differentiate the seasons. And then, like, maybe because I just had finished playing last year, I didn't have the desire to watch season 48.
Yeah.
Particularly when I fell asleep halfway through the first episode. So I'm just like, I feel like it needs a bit of a shake-up. And if 50 is a huge roaring success with returning players, I really hope US Survivor just realizes we want to see some of those familiar faces again, because there's so many to pick from, and there's even more to pick from throughout the world. If you want to just sprinkle them in. You don't need USA v. the world. Maybe just sprinkle them in.
There we go. So with that, King George, thank you for everything you've done for the world of Survivor, for Australian Survivor, for even U.S. Survivor fans, and of course, our friendship. It means the world. You're one of my favorite people ever, and you're great. And I'm so glad we got to see you for at least 3 episodes here on.
I made it a third through the season, Johnny. Can you believe it?
Only a third.
The king left his mark, even in the short amount of time. We appreciate you, George, and you're always the best. And hopefully we see you sooner rather than later.
Well, do you know what? I'm in desperate need of a holiday after this exhausting experience of watching it back. So I might try and pop in for something in the US around 49. Who knows? Let's wait and see.
There we go.
Let's go.
We need King George at a 49 party. Let's make it happen. So with that, thank you, everyone. You know what? Maybe do we need an LA party in our future, and maybe bring out that person from that other tribe, Parvati? Maybe she comes out too.
Who knows? Maybe.
All right. With
Let's
that,
make it happen.
Thank you, everyone. Click the subscribe button. Click the like button. Leave a comment. The best way to control the algorithm is to leave a comment, of course. Follow at King George of Bankstown on the Instagram. I think you're at King George 2200.
That's the one, yeah.
On Twitter. The fact that I remember that, I'm obviously your best friend, because that literally makes no sense whatsoever. And I'm at Johnny Fairplay. That's at Goodsby Bobby. With that, thank you so much, everybody. You're all awesome. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Australian Survivor, for letting this happen. You guys are great, and we have more of these coming. Check out our coverage. There's links in the bio. Bye, everybody.